Over my 20-year career, I've either worked or partnered with 100, 200 clients, partners, vendors, whatever you want to may say. And I've seen a lot of patterns on what the very successful companies have done to continue to grow and to continue to scale. But I also see where everybody caps out. So if you're wondering why, after years of fighting, you've got a little bit of a name, you've got a bunch of client bases, you've got a good team around you, but revenue and growth are starting to stall, it just may be time for you to look into the mirror. Hey everyone, my name is John Barker with Barker Management Consulting. As I said in the opener, over 20 years of experience in technology, business, cybersecurity. Worked with a bunch of different clients in all kinds of different industries. Helped scale an organization from 200 to well over 500 people with a global-wide footprint, and managed Department of Defense contracts that's worth in the millions. So I'm hoping here to help you continue your path and identify some of the bottlenecks within your industry, make you be able to scale and secure. So I'm going to go over 3 things from a leadership perspective that I have seen that has caused growth to kind of start to fall or not, and just start to flatline from where you were before. So if this is the type of content that you find to be helpful, to be useful, do me a favor, give me a like. Also, leave me a comment. What's some other things that maybe you've experienced? If you experienced some of the stuff that I'm going to talk about in this video, let me know. What may have I missed? What have been the biggest impacts when you've experienced a bottleneck to start blowing through that? All right. Let's jump into it. Number 1, everybody is serving an audience of one. And what do I mean by an audience of one? I mean you, the leader. You have not been able to delegate absolute control or any decision-making ability to the team of people that you have hired and assigned around you to do a lot of the initiatives to take the load off your plate. You fought, you tooth and nail, 7 days a week, 12 hours a day to get to where you are, and you're afraid to kind of let go of your baby. And so this is a situation of, for you to continue to grow and have your business be an asset that you may be able to sell down the road, maybe even try to sell it to your employees down the road when you go, I've really had enough. You've got to start entrusting those people to actually start executing and making those decisions that they know best. That is the reason why you have a team around you that should be experts within their segment that you hired them for, because you can't do everything. I like to consider myself somewhat of a generalist, or I think they sometimes use the term expert generalist, where you have deep understanding in different areas, but you don't go all the way down the silo, all the way to the bottom of the well. That's what everybody else is there for, to help you succeed. So I've experienced this personally. A singular individual will not sign off on everything. It had to go through their eyes for final approval out the door. And that's much different than sitting there saying, hey, I'm working on copywriting, I'm working on graphics or a video or something like that you're going outside. Yes, you're going to have other sets of eyes on it. But for you as the leader to be that singular choke point, that's going to stifle growth. And then what happens is your team, they don't start thinking of the client first, of what maybe the client had asked for or what other people around them were saying, the guiding principles. You swoop in at the last second and go, this isn't good, or this isn't, we need to change all this kind of stuff up, having not been in the process the entire time, when everybody else, and that gets exhausting for the team. This is another situation, and I think you'll see with all of these, anybody really worth their salt of what they're doing will not stay in these environments for very long. So you need to start looking at your turnover rate as I described this, because if you've got a high turnover rate, the leadership is most likely why. There can be other examples, but it's usually people leave a bad work environment as much as anything else. Number 2, you're indecisive and can't stick to decisions. Something I experienced definitely during the consulting aspect of things, where the risk just seemed too much. You couldn't quantify the risk. It just became everybody standing around waiting for a direction to move into. As you know, as you start getting more mature, you start understanding where you fit in the marketplace, where you want to fit into the marketplace, the demographics of your clients, and the services and products that you may offer. There's going to be times it pivots. What you did 10 years ago is probably not what you're doing today, or it's going to be a variation of what you were doing 10 years ago. I would say outside of being a doctor or a lawyer or something along that line, but some of the other things you've had to figure out and pivot, and the clients that you may have started out with are not probably the clients that you're dealing with today if you're continuing to grow and increasing the price and profit margin and things of that nature. So when you're starting to face those points of needing to pivot, needing to make changes, it can be scary, but you can't just make a snap decision and then 2 days later go, we're going to to reverse course. And then 3 days later go, we're going to reverse course again. 2 weeks later, we're going to reverse course. Or just completely say, we're not going to do something and then do it anyway. It just puts everybody else on edge. Been involved in those environments. It's very hard to move forward. You're stuck spinning your wheels. You're better off delaying the decision until you absolutely have identified all the things that would make you reverse track and get other people involved. Again, going back to number one, that's why you got your team around you as you continue to grow, to help point in that direction of what they see successful within their functional areas, on you to make the final decision, but then stick to that and give that enough time to work itself out. Number 3, the leader that sabotages things. Had a recent good deal of experience with this. This kind of ties into everything that I've been going with before, except is kind of a little bit on the opposite end of the spectrum, where the owner operator believes that they have delegated all of the work to their team and completely remove themselves from the situation. And then whether it's out of laziness or quite frankly just not wanting to be involved, they swoop in at the last second and change the contents, the deal, anything that you've been working on. I've unfortunately have been a part of this where, you've written a proposal, you've worked with the prospect for a couple weeks and really trying to define what they're doing when you're talking a larger scale type of initiative, and then having the owner come out of the blue and just go, this isn't enough, and just jack the price up. What do you think is going to happen? Just because they felt like it. It's sabotaging the deals, or coming in there and just, all of a sudden inserting themselves into something that they had not been a part of for months, and then just making the relationship with the client rocky. Then everybody else has to go pick up the pieces. Unfortunately, I've seen this too much. You've got to watch to make sure that if you've truly empowered your teams to go execute those types of things, let them finish, and then after the fact, kind of regroup and go, hey, we really should be charging more for these things going forward. Here's some, some reasons why. Let's get some feedback. But don't go do it in the middle of the process or at the end of the process, because you're probably going to just dump a whole bunch of work that's been gone and with nothing to show for it. Seen it. It's not a fun situation to be a part of. If those 3 that I just described make sense, if you've seen that, do me a favor, let me know in the comments what were some of the ways that you kind of broke through those barriers from a leader that does that. But I've got a bonus one for you here, and it's the overly emotional leader. So consider this number 4. And I've seen this from a couple different perspectives. If you are in charge, people are looking for you as the ultimate guidance and decision maker. And then as you grow and you may start getting layers in the company, there's still always going to be, it usually goes up to the layer, but ultimately following the head of the pyramid, I don't want to say use the term figurehead, but they follow the person that's in charge in the direction that you're going. And if you're always flying off the handle, that gets exhausting. And if you also show fear, and this is something I've seen a lot, particularly if you're in something that's risky. You kind of took a risk on this, but instead of coming at there like, we got this, and you start rallying the team around you, you're like, oh no, this is, are we going to be able to do this? Your team absolutely picks up and feeds off those emotions. The one that becomes angry, it just makes people get exhausted because they don't know what's going to make you fly off the rails, and everything. Unfortunately, I've seen this as well. Just everything could set somebody off, and the smallest little incremental thing could set somebody off that's supposed to be in charge. That gets exhausting. Nobody wants to work in that environment. And then when you're coming out with that fear mindset of, oh man, I don't know, you may have that sinking feeling inside your own gut. You may be thinking about that and going, I'm not sure we're going to. You can't portray that to your team. They will pick up on that. I've experienced that personally, where I've had a team of mine that was feeding off of somebody that was in the C-suite level based on their title. And I said, if it doesn't come from me, guys, ignore what was being said. I don't care. I'll take the heat for it, because we're going to crush this and we're going to get this knocked out. And we did, with a particular project with 3 hours to spare. I won't go into details in that, maybe something later, but my team was feeding up of someone that was higher up, and I had to stomp that. I had to stop it. We were on too tight of a deadline. So please watch your emotional state if you're in charge. Make sure it's always coming from an encouragement piece. I found that to always have worked. Relatively speaking, be understanding outside of somebody just completely doing something misbehaved or way off kilter that you got to be a little bit more forceful with. I'll use that term to get them back in line. But if you come in with respect, with care, and encouragement, you'll hit the goals that you want to do, but trust your team. But let me know in the comments what else you think I may have missed off this list. What else may have, you've seen within your work environment that's made it possible. Has you experienced a lot of turnover? Just let me know what I missed. I love to hear the stories on this. I just love talking on the business side, how we can make things better. Until the next one.